And it's Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia. We're at New York City Fleet Week and have a chance to visit a brand new Coast Guard cutter, Warren DeMello, and we have a chance to talk to Master Chief from the Coast Guard, Jeremy DeMello. Sir, what's it like for you to be in New York this week?
Oh, this is a phenomenal time to be in New York. This is where we get to celebrate our sea services, Coast Guard, Navy, and Marines. We get together and celebrate what it is we do for our folks.
Well, it seems like we were at the commissioning of the Sutphin last year, and it seems like you've been able to add quite a few new cutters to your force in recent years, such as the one right behind us today.
Yes, that is correct. We are recapitalizing the fleet as we speak, and we're looking forward to having more cutters, new cutters like the ones we currently have. You see behind us.
Extraordinary story of the namesake of this ship, Warren DeMello, a World War II Coast Guard hero, an African American who was dove in the water, who's trained to recover survivors from the Dorchester incident. What is it like when you have such an extraordinary hero named for this cutter?
You know, the history of the individual that cutted the namesake for the cutter, it's a phenomenal story. The life-saving that he took place in the frigid waters for 4 hours, rescuing people. It was, it's always great to see what our Coast Guard men and women can do. And we're all heroes in some way, but to actually have a ship represent one of our enlisted heroes is phenomenal.
I'd never heard that Coast Guard members would have done that in the Battle of the Atlantic. We've studied it, but that's another thing that we've learned about this extraordinary member of the Coast Guard. Tell us a little bit about your career. How did it start for you in the Coast Guard?
It all started for me in the Coast Guard growing up on the Big Island of Hawaii. I had a cousin that joined the service, and I followed suit. And so back in 1994, I signed the papers at 17 years old and shipped off to boot camp, and that's where it all began.
What have been some of the steps along the way, some of the things that you've worked on, some of the cutters that you've been on?
So the cutters that I've been on, most of them have already been decommissioned. My first cutter was actually commissioned in 1942. I wasn't commissioned in 1942, but I was on the cutter in 94 through 98. It was a Coast Guard cutter Sassafras, home ported out of Honolulu, Hawaii. Following the Coast Guard cutter Sassafras, my other cutters were Coast Guard cutter Guam, which is a 110-foot patrol boat. Coast Guard cutter Galveston Island, stationed in Guam. That's a 110-foot patrol boat. I did a 225-foot buoy tender out of Honolulu, Hawaii, and two high-endurance cutters, Coast Guard cutter Jarvis and Coast Guard cutter Morgenthau out of Honolulu, Hawaii.
How do you describe the mission of the Coast Guard? It seems like it's expanded, obviously. A lot of work in the ports and helping with law enforcement. But you're doing so many things. You've got cutters overseas in the Middle East now.
Yes, we do. We have 6 cutters that works out in the Middle East in Bahrain. The want and the need for the Coast Guard has expanded. The Coast Guard is we are a global Coast Guard, and we are all over the place in every ocean. We work with both combatant commands, but our main mission is still here at home, protecting our marine transportation system.
Very good. Now, what's your favorite aspect of New York City Fleet Week?
The people. So thank you for having us.
Well, it's great to, we look forward to it each week, each year, and glad it's back after COVID, and great to see all the sailors, Marine, and Coast Guard members in New York City. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Our pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia in New York City.